Have you ever had that moment when you just know someone else is in your house, but you're supposed to be alone? I still can't sleep right when the house is too quiet. This happened 2 years ago, when I was 17. My parents had gone away for a weekend trip and trusted me to stay home alone. I was excited, movies, junk food, no rules. But by Saturday night, I wasn't excited anymore. It started around 11 p.m. I was lying on the couch in the living room watching a horror movie, ironic, I know, when I heard something upstairs. It sounded like a door creaking open. I muted the TV and sat there, listening. At first, I thought it was just the house settling. But then I heard it again, a slow, deliberate creak, like someone was trying to be quiet. Then came a thump, a heavy step. My room was directly above the living room, and the sound had definitely come from up there. I grabbed my phone and tiptoed to the bottom of the stairs. The hallway light was off, but there was a faint glow coming from under my bedroom door. I never turned that light on. My heart was pounding. I should have called the police or left the house, but I didn't. I convinced myself I was overreacting and went up the stairs. Each step felt louder than the last. The house felt off, like it was holding its breath. At the top of the stairs, I stared down the hallway. My bedroom door was cracked open, and the light flickered like someone was pacing in front of it. I took a step forward, and a floorboard creaked under my foot. Instantly, the light in the room turned off. I froze. There was no sound, no movement. I whispered, "Hello," but got no answer. Slowly, I started backing away. I turned toward the stairs, heart racing, and that's when I heard my bedroom door click open wider behind me. I turned back around. There was someone standing in the doorway. A shadow, a figure. I couldn't see a face, but I could feel them watching me. I ran, down the stairs, through the hallway, into the kitchen. I locked the back door, spun around, and realized I hadn't locked the front one either. I sprinted across the house and threw the deadbolt on just in time. Then silence again. I finally called 911, whispering that someone was in my house. The dispatcher told me to stay quiet and officers were on their way. Then I heard it again, footsteps on the stairs. Slow, steady, coming down. I slipped into the pantry and gently closed the door, curling up and holding my breath. The footsteps came into the kitchen and stopped. Right outside the pantry. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then, something slid under the door. I waited a few seconds before slowly picking it up. It was a photograph, a photo of me, sleeping. From earlier that night, I almost screamed. The picture wasn't taken from outside. It was taken inside my room. Someone had been in the house long before I knew it. That's when the sirens arrived. Doors slammed, voices yelled, and soon I heard a knock on the pantry door. "It's the police," someone said. "You're safe now." I opened the door, shaking. They walked me out, but they never found anyone. No signs of forced entry. No fingerprints. Nothing. Like whoever it was had vanished. But I know what I saw. And I'll never forget that photo, because it was taken from just a few feet away. It was supposed to be a quiet weekend. My parents had left for a 2-day trip, and I was home alone in our suburban house. I had the whole place to myself, no chores, no responsibilities, just peace and quiet. But that peace was shattered on the first night. Around 10 p.m., I was in the living room, scrolling through my phone, when I heard a faint noise from upstairs. It was subtle, just a soft creak, like someone stepping lightly on the floorboards. I paused, listening intently. The house was old, and settling noises were common, but this felt different. It was deliberate. I shrugged it off, attributing it to the house's usual creaks. But then, the noise came again, this time louder and more distinct. A slow, deliberate footstep. My heart skipped a beat. I was alone. No one else should have been in the house. I stood up, my mind racing. Could it be an intruder? I grabbed my phone and quietly dialed my best friend, hoping to calm my nerves. As the phone rang, I heard another step, closer this time. My breath caught in my throat. I ended the call without speaking, too scared to explain. I crept toward the stairs, my footsteps muffled against the carpet. The hallway was dimly lit, shadows stretching across the floor. I reached the bottom of the stairs and paused, straining to hear any sound from above. Silence. Taking a deep breath, I began to ascend. Each step seemed to echo in the stillness. At the top, I turned toward my bedroom. The door was ajar, a sliver of light spilling into the hallway. I hadn't left it open. I pushed the door gently, peering inside. The room appeared empty, but then, I noticed something unsettling, a faint outline of a figure standing near the window, just beyond the reach of the light. My blood ran cold. I wasn't alone. I backed away slowly, my mind racing. Who was in my house? How did they get in? I needed to leave, to get help. But as I turned to flee, the figure moved, stepping into the light. It was me, or rather, a reflection of me, dressed in my clothes, standing in my room, mirroring my every move. Frozen in terror, I watched as the figure smiled, a twisted, mocking grin. It raised a hand, beckoning me closer. I stumbled backward, tripping over the hallway rug, and fell to the floor. The figure's smile widened. Panicking, I scrambled to my feet and bolted downstairs, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't stop until I was outside, gasping for air. I called my parents, my voice trembling as I explained what had happened. They rushed home immediately. When they arrived, we searched the house together. There was no sign of forced entry, no evidence of anyone else being there. The doors and windows were all locked, but the mirror in my bedroom was cracked, a single line running down its center. To this day, I don't know what happened that night. Was it a hallucination, a trick of the light, or something more sinister? I haven't slept in that room since, and I never will again.